Hey everyone, I'm Carl Azus and this is CNN Student News. Our first story today centers on the Middle Eastern country of Iraq. There's been an increase in violence there. One reason, terrorists. The Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, known as ISIS, has been fighting the Iraqi government and trying to seize more power in the country and the region. Another reason, religious divisions. Iraq's two main religious groups, Shiite Muslims and Sunni Muslims, don't always get along. In some places, they've been fighting each other. The U.S. is getting involved again. It led an international group of countries to invade and overthrow Iraq's former dictator in 2003. The coalition then battled terrorists and insurgents for years. The last U.S. combat troops left in 2011. Now America is sending weapons and drones to help Iraq's government.
Well, the U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry has been very clear in his support for the Iraqi government, saying that the United States will support the legitimate and elected government in Iraq. He describes ISIS, Al-Qaeda in Iraq and Syria as being the biggest threat in the region. Their brutality is well known. But he does say that the United States will stop short of sending in troops on the ground. This is what he said.
This is a fight that belongs to the Iraqis. That is exactly what the president and the world decided some time ago when we left Iraq. So we are not obviously contemplating returning. We're not contemplating putting boots on the ground. This is their fight. But we're going to help them in their fight.
For the first time in its 100-year history, the U.S. Federal Reserve will be led by a woman. The Fed sets U.S. monetary policy. It decides things like interest rates and how to stimulate the U.S. economy. It has an influence on world economic decisions. On Monday, the Senate confirmed 67-year-old Janet Yellen as Fed chair. She's worked at the bank for more than a decade. She has expertise in macroeconomics and the elements of unemployment. Some of Yellen's work in high school may give clues as to how she sees herself.
She has cracked one of the highest glass ceilings in America. We took a look at Janet Yellen's younger years. She graduated from Fort Hamilton High School in Brooklyn in 1963. In high school, she was both valedictorian and editor of the school newspaper. Her high school had a tradition for the editor to interview the valedictorian, and since Janet Yellen held both titles, she ended up interviewing herself. It certainly does give you a sense of how Janet Yellen viewed herself objectively. In the article, she doesn't shy away from listing her successes, listing her awards, describing herself as a, quote, versatile, attractive, and talented senior. But she means it in a very sort of tongue-in-cheek kind of way.
Yellen will be taking over Ben Bernanke's job. The current Fed chairman's second term is up at the end of the month. Yellen and Bernanke share many of the same views on U.S. monetary policy, so Bernanke's critics have concerns about Yellen's appointment.
Time for the shout-out. At what measurement in degrees are Fahrenheit and Celsius the same temperature? If you think you know it, shout it out. Is it negative 40 degrees, negative 12 degrees, 0 degrees, or 14 degrees? You've got 3 seconds. Go. It's a cold, hard truth that negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit is equal to negative 40 degrees Celsius. That's your answer, and that's your shout-out.
And yes, parts of the northern U.S. have seen temperatures hovering around negative 40 this week. That's negative 40 Fahrenheit and Celsius. Yesterday morning, all 50 U.S. states recorded temperatures below freezing. It's not all for the same reason, that Arctic vortex that spilled frigid temperatures across the Plains states and eastern U.S., but it is all part of winter. There were some concerns about Florida's citrus crop. Freezing temperatures can have a significant economic impact on the state if that crop is damaged by the cold. As of yesterday afternoon, though, Florida's Fruit and Vegetable Association said the crop was okay. Still, several deaths have been blamed on the cold in other places. Record lows have been recorded. Power grids have been strained by the need for home heating. And some folks have found creative ways to illustrate what happens when temperatures drop.
They say it's about 20 below.
With this week's Arctic blast, what may be one man's frozen tundra
here we go.
is another's winter wonderland.
Making clouds.
Despite the biting temps, a brave few are testing the elements. It's so cold that if you take boiling water and throw it into the sky, it turns into snow, just like this. Some are getting creative, timing the 2 minutes it takes to freeze a wet t-shirt in Michigan.
Is it cold out here?
And blowing bubbles into the brisk, wintry air.
Those one.
Watch as the now frozen bubbles roll across the deck.
We look like cellophane.
I like just getting out and getting the brisk cold. It reminds you that you're alive. That's what I like to think.
Okay, so and as we are looking at you're alive, we have to look at your mustache.
My icicles, yes.
This cold spell even stunning the skeptics, proving you can freeze an egg if it's cold enough. And a whole tray of ice cubes in less than 20 minutes.
Some of the students in today's roll call are battle-born. That's because we start in the Silver State, Nevada, with the Trailblazers from Durango High School in Las Vegas. Stalking up north, we've got some Panthers watching from Alberton High School in Alberton, Montana. Welcome, Big Sky Country. And the Lions are keeping an eye on things over at Chandler High School. That's in Chandler, Oklahoma. That's the Sooner State, and that's today's roll call.
Time for a shout-out extra credit. Which of these candies was invented first? You know what to do. Was it M&M's, Twix, Sour Patch Kids, or Junior Mints? You've got 3 seconds. Go. It was back in 1941 that M&M's went on sale in the U.S., years before any of these other options. That's your answer, and that's your shout-out.
The colors have changed a bit over the years. Now, thousands of Americans want to change to their ingredients, specifically those that give M&Ms their vibrant colors. There's no scientific consensus that artificial colors are harmful. They're cheaper than natural colors. They're more likely to stay, well, more colorful. But there's a push for M&Ms to go more natural.
The colors of M&Ms are so iconic. They're the candy-coated stars of their very own TV commercials.
Oh, hey, Red.
So what gives the real M&Ms their colors? Well, that depends on what country you're in. We bought these M&Ms locally. Yellow 6, Yellow 5, Red 40, all names for artificial food colorings derived from petroleum. But these M&Ms come from England, and their colors come mostly from plants.
I just think it's just not fair that our country is the one that's getting the artificial dyes while Europe is getting the natural dyes.
Renee Shutters says her son Trenton used to suffer regular meltdowns, but then his behavior improved remarkably when she took artificial dyes out of his diet, including no more M&Ms. Now she's building support for her cause. More than 140,000 people have signed her Change.org petition calling on the candy company Mars to remove artificial food coloring from M&Ms. And she might just have a chance. In November, under similar pressure from parents, Kraft took out the iconic artificial yellow coloring contained in some of its mac and cheese products and swapped it for a natural coloring. And Mars tells CNN in a statement they are exploring the use of natural colorings. They've already obtained approval from the Food and Drug Administration for a natural blue and green dye. But changing to natural colors won't happen overnight, the company warns, and they say they have absolute confidence in all their ingredients. It's debatable whether artificial colorings really do cause hyperactivity. The FDA says for some kids they may be an issue, but Renee Shutters is convinced.
I thank God every single day that we figured this out. You know, what breaks my heart is thinking about all these families that will never put those pieces together.
For some, it's just another wintertime chore, but there's no way this yellow lab is gonna miss it. It's like an all-you-can-eat snowflake. Wouldn't recommend trying this with your own dog. Snowblowers are somewhat dangerous, and there's no guarantee that any other animal would eat up the opportunity like this one. For Bailey, that's his name, Bailey, basking in snowblower snow is second only to snacking on milk bones, though he probably doesn't get as many treats as he gets snow. But to him, they are one and the same. Snow cones, chocolate chip cookie snow, snokerdoodles. With little appetite and imagination, there are endless possibilities, and Bailey is enjoying his just desserts. We are not deserting you. CNN Student News will have a buffet of stories on Thursday. See you then.